Hi there and welcome. This is Jennifer McGuire. I think one of the most rewarding stamping techniques that I've ever done is mirror image stamping. This allows you to take any stamp image you have and create an image that is the mirror opposite of it. So like you see that dog on the right, you can create that dog on the left. Now I have shown in a previous video how to do mirror stamping with tools you probably already have, and I'll link to that at the end of this video. However, recently the MISTI stamping tool has come out and it is very helpful for mirror image stamping. So I wanted to show you how to do that in this video today. Now again, you don't need to have the MISTI stamping tool to do mirror image stamping. I'll link to that video, but it really is helpful. So this is the mini MISTI stamping tool. There's a regular also and even a bigger size than that. I use the mini and the regular often in my videos. So I grabbed the mini tool to use today, but there's something that I wanted to show you about all the MISTI stamping tools. There inside is some paper that you can use like a scratch paper when you're stamping and such. And there's also a black foam piece here. So this has a little bit of thickness to it. If you keep this in, you can use your mini MISTI with clear stamps. If you take that out, you can use your MISTI with cling stamps or unmounted rubber stamps or things that are thicker. So it is nice to have that option in there. So you'll notice in the video today, I take this out sometimes for this technique. I just wanted to show you that quickly before we got started. Another very helpful tool to have for mirror image stamping is a solid background stamp, something that is completely solid, and I prefer to use a clear image. I just think it's helpful. I like to use the Paper Smooches Mirror Block Stamp Set. They had something like this a long time ago and they brought it back, and I'm really excited. You can see there are large images that are completely solid and perfect for creating a solid background or doing the mirror image stamping technique. If you don't have this stamp set, look at stamps that you have that are large and solid, and you can probably use the back side of that clear stamp for this technique. Okay, so I also decided to use this Paper Smooches stamp set that has these adorable dog images. I actually wanted to create two dogs that are facing each other and kissing each other. And so I need to do the mirror image stamping technique in order to get those two images facing each other. I'm going to do a few examples in this video so you can kind of get some more views of the technique in action. The next thing you need for this technique is something that you can probably find in your trash can. You just need a scrap of transparency or acetate. You could probably get this from some packaging, and you're going to use that for this technique also. I put that piece of transparency right into the corner of my MISTI, and I take the desired stamp image and lay it right onto the transparency with the stamp side facing up, kind of like you'd be sticking it onto an acrylic block. Now, opposite of that, on the MISTI door, I'm going to put the mirror block image from Paper Smooches. You can see it's just that solid image. And you can have both your stamps ready to go so that when you close the door, it'll kiss them together. Now, you can use any ink for this that you want. I really find that the VersaFine black ink is very good for this technique. But again, use whatever you have. I think the VersaFine is helpful because it doesn't dry very quickly. I'm putting some magnets down to hold my acetate in place in the MISTI. And I'm going to ink up my little doggy, close the door, and you'll open up and you'll see that that ink has kissed over to that solid image. And I'm going to do that twice. You could do it more if you need to. You can experiment with it. But I found with VersaFine black ink, I only needed to do it twice. Now, so far I've been working without that black foam in there. I'm going to put the black foam in along with the white cardstock I want to stamp on and close that. And check it out. You transfer the mirror image onto that white cardstock. Now I moved pretty quick there in the end because I didn't want that ink to dry on that mirror block image. Now say you weren't happy with the resulting mirror stamped image. You can repeat the process, which you see me doing here, and stamp it again exactly in the same place to either darken it or fill in any areas that didn't stamp well the first time. Mine was good the first time, but I wanted to show you that you could stamp it again if you needed to, right in the same place, thanks to the MISTI stamping tool. Now I wanted to show you this in action again. It's I think helpful to see it a few times. This time I'm going to be using this adorable little fish image from Paper Smooches. Now again, I'm going to take the black foam piece out for the starting point. I'm going to put my acetate right into the corner. I'm going to place my stamp wherever I want it, and I have my mirror block set up on the right side of my MISTI tool. I'm going to put my magnets into place and ink up that fish with the black VersaFine ink. Another advantage of using the black VersaFine ink is that it cleans off the stamps very easily. So you can see that mirror image is pretty clean, even though I used it for the dog image a few moments ago. All I had to do was clean it off quickly. Okay, so now I did the fish here. I inked it up and stamped it a few times onto the mirror block. Again, when you close the MISTI, those two clear stamps kiss perfectly against each other. Now I'm quickly putting that black foam back in place, putting my desired white cardstock into the corner and stamping that down, and there we have the perfect reverse image. I'm going to show another example, and while I do that, I'm going to share some tips with you. Now, if you don't have this mirror block stamp set from Paper Smooches, which I think is very handy, you can use it for many other techniques also, and I'll try to show that in future videos. If you don't have this set, there are also some cling and rubber solid stamps out there that you could use for this technique. Or again, look through the stamps that you may have. Some of your clear stamps are large, and if you flip them over, you can use the back side of it as a solid square that you can use for the mirror image stamping technique. Now it helps if that stamp is solid, so it has support all along the back. But again, you can give it a try if you don't have this stamp set. Okay, so I've gone through to ink up the mirror image here. I'm going to put that black foam back in place and then put white cardstock in there and check out this beautiful image that you get. Now I'm going to hand cut these out. I didn't have the coordinating dies, so it didn't really matter where I stamped this onto the white cardstock, but you can kind of position it if you need to before you do this whole process. After I completed all of my mirror stamping, I just went ahead and stamped the regular image on each of these. And then I'm going to add some clear embossing powder and heat set all of these so I can get a nice raised image, but I could let it dry if I wanted to. Again, I went ahead and hand cut all of these, but if you had coordinating dies, you could use those instead. The mirror image stamping technique really opens the door to changing your card design and changing which way images face so you can get exactly what you want. Okay, I wanted to show you how I pulled this all of these images into cards. There are some other tips and techniques along the way that I wanted to share with you. After I hand cut these little dogs, I put a little drop of multi-medium matte finish adhesive from Ranger onto the eyes, and I'm adding some Google eyes on there. You'll see a card over there on the left. Ignore that. I decided not to use that, and I'm going to save that for something else. I did take that Smooches die that you see up there on the top right. That's from Paper Smooches, and I die cut that from some red cardstock. But when I was doing this, I kind of felt like that die got lost in the action. So what I decided to do was press some Versamark ink on it and then put some clear shimmer embossing powder on it. So this has some glitter in it. And this will kind of give a little oomph to that die cut. You can repeat this with several layers to give it some dimension if you wanted to. I also wanted a large heart behind my little dogs and the sentiment, but I didn't want it to be distracting. So here's a trick for you. I die cut a bunch of bright red hearts. I think I did 6 of them in the end, and I glued all 6 of them together right on top of each other. So I had kind of a stack of red hearts. Then on top of that stack of red hearts, I glued a white heart. And that causes me to have a large white heart on the front of my card with a little bit of red that peeks out the sides. So it gives some dimension, causes that heart to stand up. From the front, it looks tone on tone, but from the sides, there's a little splash of red. And it really makes the card kind of pop, but doesn't distract from everything else going on. I glued my 2 kissing dogs right on top of the heart, and then I used some of that same Ranger Multi-Medium, and I put it on the back of my Smooches die cut, and I'm using tweezers to hold it, and this will help me to place it exactly where I want it my card, and I press that down. I also stamped and clear heat embossed some little red hearts coming up from the dogs just to finish it off. Now for my second card example, I decided to do a little bit of tone-on-tone textured background. So you can see my 2 little dogs up there, and I wanted to keep the rest of the card simple. So what I did is I created a note card from some Pool cardstock. It's a top folding note card. I also die cut a bunch of heart borders. This is a Paper Smooches heart border die from the same color of Pool cardstock. But I first put some double-sided adhesive on the back of the cardstock before I die cut it, so that once it was die cut, it had the adhesive on the back. And all I had to do was press it onto my background. So what I end up with is a background of all of these hearts, just tone on tone. And that little bit of texture and that little bit of interest is all you need to kind of add something fun to your card, but keep the focus on the cute little doggies that you created with that mirror image stamping technique. With this card, I wanted to show you one more thing. See that sentiment that says "You are all kinds of wonderful"? That's one of my favorite sentiments from this Paper Smooches Fun and Flirty stamp set. This has some really great unique sentiments on it. You can see that I had cut this sentiment apart before so I could stack the words. Now, if you ever want to take something that you've cut apart and stamp it how it was originally intended, all you have to do is mount them onto an acrylic block. Just piece them back together and it can be exactly how it was originally intended. So remember, you can cut your stamps apart, but you can always go back to how it was originally designed. All you have to do is piece them together on your acrylic block and you're good to go. After I have that sentiment, I've trimmed the piece down a little bit. I have my two little dogs that I hand cut out with some foam tape on the back, and I'm going to position them right above the sentiment. Finally, I trimmed the piece down, stamped a little red heart between the dogs, matted it on red cardstock, and put it onto my card base. Okay, so I'm hurrying through these cards examples. Sorry about that, but I wanted to keep the focus on the technique in the beginning of the video. But let me show you this third card. On this one, I did a fun see-through border behind our focal point. I wanted to show you how I did that. Check out any border dies you have. I had this set of dot border dies from Paper Smooches, and I like that they cut holes in your paper but don't actually cut your paper in half. So it's fun to kind of have a floating see-through border on your card. So I'm taking one with some medium-sized dots, taping it onto a top-folding white note card that I created, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, and we'll have these little holes that are poked through the bottom of the card. This is just going to bring a little bit of attention to that focal heart that I created. I stamped the sentiment "moi" for a kiss with the two little fish facing each other. I put some Wink of Stella clear shimmer pen on the fish to give it a little bit of shine. You can see the shine on the fish there. And then I coated the fish also with Glossy Accents. Glossy Accents really accentuates that shimmer and makes it shine even more. I also stamped some tiny little red hearts above that and put Glossy Accents on that also. So there you have the third and final card. So I hope this video inspires you to try mirror stamping. It really opens the door to so many new card designs. If you are interested in the products I use, I always link below to them in my YouTube description. You can also go over to my blog at jennifermcguireinc.com by clicking there on my logo on the top left, and there will be more information there, including a giveaway. In the middle are 3 other videos that might be helpful. The first one shows mirror stamping that you can do without the MISTI stamping tool, probably with tools you already have. In the middle and on the right-hand side there, those videos are other ways you can use the MISTI stamping tool. If you haven't done so, please hit subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.